Thank you. Taoiseach, you were in Limerick during the week, and you were at the Limerick Business Awards in the chamber, for the Limerick Chambers. And when you spoke there, people were disillusioned to know, was it you actually speaking, or were you actually speaking like an independent, because what you were saying isn't actually what your government are carrying out. They actually thought, for the start of your speech, that you were actually reading my speech with the things that you were trying to introduce. So this is a story from a local business before the budget. The budget was announced. Our store was already under immense pressure to deal with the mammoth task of dealing with electricity bills from 8,000k with an increase to 15,000, insurance costs increasing from 15,000 to 22,000, alcohol segregation laws, section 22, at a cost of 5,000. Cost of fuel goods reducing their margin. Statutory sick pay with consequential results in our absentees rate increasing. Then they came to us after the budget. In the recent budget, the government confirmed more increases. Minimum wage $12.70 will cost our business $25,000. A new public holiday. Pension auto enrolment $8,000. Employers PRSI $4,000. Statutory sick pay rising to 5 days $6,000. Deposit returning scheme, LATA levy and decarbonisation cost $15,000. So before the budget they had increases of 19,000. This is a local business, a local supermarket. And after the budget they have an increase in cost on 58,000 on top of that, which means that they have 77,000 of an increase. Now we saw the minimum wage increase, but people are not fooled. Where do you think the cost of all these increases in our local supermarkets, who's going to pay for it? The people that are after getting the minimum wage. So the minimum wage goes nowhere. All it's done is increase the cost of living. It increased inflation. That means a person may have more money in their pocket, but they're paying more money for the goods. People are paying more money to employ people, which means the only purse that got bigger was the government's income tax. And you're forcing small businesses who create local employment out of business. That's what the minimum wage has done. You had it within your grasp to reduce taxes. That means that the money that was in a person's pocket would travel further. What you've done is, all you've done is increase taxes across the board. You earn more, you pay more. And you've increased inflation for every small business in this country, and you've crippled them.
Thanks, Deputy. We did reduce taxes in the budget, both the USC and income tax, and people will see that reflected in their pay slips in January, and I'm glad we were able to do exactly that. And I'm glad to report that inflation is now easing. Inflation is now at about half the rate it was this time last year and needs to fall further, and those are the facts, Deputy. I stand over what the government is doing when it comes to improving pay and terms and conditions and workers. It's something I've been working on and leading on for many years now, as Minister for Social Protection, as Minister for Enterprise Employment, and now as Taoiseach, and I'm determined to see it through. The introduction of a living wage, auto-enrolment so that all workers, particularly those in the private sector, are entitled to an occupational pension on top of the state pension, and also the introduction of sick pay. And I think this is the right thing to do, and I said so, in fact, at Limerick Chamber. And I said that I believe it's the right thing to do because we should make work pay. If you make work pay, more people will work. And there are 2.6 million people now working in Ireland, more than ever before. And I think that is a very good thing. And also, if you make work pay, people have more money to spend in those small businesses that you talk about. And that will benefit business too. But you do have to do it in a way that is gradual and doesn't happen too quickly, because there is a risk of damaging business and reducing employment if you move too quickly. Recognising the increased costs that businesses face, we've set aside €250 million to help businesses, particularly small businesses, in the new year. Minister Coveney is developing that scheme at the moment. It's going to cost about €250 million, and 90% of rate-paying businesses will benefit from that scheme. And the total amount that will be paid out will be double what was paid out this year. in terms of the TBES. And that's being done in recognition of the fact that there are businesses that will face increased costs. We want to help them out with that, but we're not going to depart from doing what we believe fundamentally is the right thing to do, is that people who work in Ireland should get paid a decent wage and should have decent terms, conditions and protections and a pension when they retire.
Thank you, Taoiseach, and I 100% agree with you that people that work in Ireland deserve to get a fair pay. So that's why I come to the top earner in the HSE earns 974,000 a year. And a newly qualified nurse earns 32,552. So again, we go back to the people that work, and these nurses work, and they work tirelessly to help us. So that means that your government are backing a person that earns €18,730.69 a week against a nurse that does €625.80. And then you come on with the recruitment freeze in the HSE. So who is the government actually working for? That wage would pay for 2 or 30 newly qualified nurses, 30 of them. And you give somebody 974,000, and you stand over to your government. €3 million is the 5 top earners in the HSE. That's 92 nurses could be employed for that money. 92 nurses, and you come on with a recruitment freeze. And you say that you're here working for the people, and you're working for a basic pay.
Thank you, Deputy.
It's criminal that these people get that type of money.
Thank you, Deputy. Taoiseach, to conclude.
Thanks, Deputy. I really think you're all over the place, quite frankly. A minute ago, you were criticising us for increasing the minimum wage. Then, 2 minutes later, you're saying you think it's right that there should be an increase in the minimum wage and people should be paid more. You talk about an employee in the HSE paid, I think you said €974,000. There's no employee in the HSE paid €974,000. It's possible that there's a medical contracting firm or something like that that got that payment, but certainly there's no employee of the HSE receiving that payment. And the recruitment fees that you refer to, the recruitment freeze which you refer to doesn't apply to nurses, doesn't apply to midwives, doesn't apply to GPs, doesn't apply to consultants, doesn't apply to...
Thank you. That concludes Leaders.